Okay, so now our installation is done. So all of our controller, compute, and Ceph nodes um, are in a ready state. If I go on the dashboard, actually you can see the success state and also the state of all the plugins. Just basically firewall as a service, VPN as a service, the LDAP. Basically, it's things that are now, well, LDAP is just configuration, so basically at the keystone level. VPN and firewall as a service are actually going to show up in Horizon. If I add a load balancer as a service plugin, would be the same thing, would show up in Horizon. All the other thing, Elasticsearch, InfluxDB, LMA collector, Nagios itself, basically all those are linked to a separate interface, separate site. So you don't go to Horizon to see them, you actually go to your LMA node IP, and from there, you can hit port 80, 8000, 8001. So you'll get Nagios, you'll get Elasticsearch, and you'll get Grafana from there. Last thing in the fuel part before we actually go to Horizon and finalize this part of the three-part demo is the health check. The health check actually is going to run, and maybe I've talked about it a bit earlier on, but this actually performs let's call it a sanity check, on all your environment, and also some functional testing and some HA tests and everything. So if I go slowly through it, basically again, sanity test. If for some reason, if you actually change your credential for the after the deployment, before you ran the sanity check, please you just put in the proper credential, or maybe even the proper tenant if you change anything here. So you can change it there. So going a bit in detail on the health check. Basically, it's the OSTF, it's the OpenStack test framework that's running there, making sure that all the basic function of your environment are actually performed accordingly, and also within expected duration. So if I request a volume list and it takes 120 seconds and we're expecting 20, there's probably a problem somewhere. So basically, OSTF runs through all those tests and will give you the actual duration and the status. Status being a green check or a red X if there's some issue. If I were to run the test right now on my stack, all those tests here would actually be okay. Probably some issue with create, update, delete operation on Sahara. Because I don't have templates loaded right now. So everything that's related to Murano and Sahara, because I've deployed them with Fuel, actually needs a little tweak before you can run the health check. That can actually be, you can actually visit the docs.mirantis.com website, and in the there's a section to tell you, exactly the image you need to load. It's just basically you loading an image in Glance. And for Sahara, you need to register it inside Sahara as your base image you can use to create say Hadoop clusters. And for Murano, basically the idea, the simplest way is to actually go online, and I'll do it in the Horizon part of the demo. You go online and you get the value for the WordPress package for Murano, and you load that. Basically, it's going to give you a Debian base image, and also going to give you like MySQL, PHP, Apache, WordPress itself. So anyway, it's going to give you the application itself, and for the functional testing for Murano, OSTF actually tries to spin a WordPress and an Apache. So you already have them, so that way, not a problem. Again, the rest of the testing, functional testing, create a key pair, try to live migrate something, an instance, or launch an instance. In my case, since I have a single controller environment, those elements here would actually fail. Making sure that RabbitMQ is in HA, Galera is in HA, replication work. So all those would be in red, which is actually normal. The rest is ceilometer-based events, and again, Sahara showing up here, Murano environment, deploying Apache, deploying an application, deploying WordPress. So that's why I'm saying, like, please deploy WordPress, and then you cover all the cases that you need, all the use cases needed for proper testing. And the rest is some basic testing that needs to happen, and the last one is actually making sure that you're not using the default credential anymore. So you can run the test initially. It's going to give you an idea of where are the action that needs to be fixed. Of course, if you don't deploy Sahara or Murano, you don't have to worry about some manual steps before having a full green check OSTF report. But if you do, just go online, follow the steps, and it's very simple. And the rest is actually making sure you've changed the values, your default values for login, and then you're good to go. So next step, well, on to login into Horizon. Okay, so now we are on the landing page of Horizon. In my case, in my lab as well, basically it's the public IP assigned to your controller. So just went there. In my case, through the demo, a plugin actually was installed, and actually it's the LDAP one. So I felt it was appropriate to actually show it there. So if you have an LDAP plugin for Keystone, when you identify, you actually have the possibility of putting your domain where you're trying to log in and user and password. So if I have, mydomain.com, then I would need to use my user password for mydomain.com, and then I'll be able to log in, and I'm going to end up in the project link to, that domain in Horizon. If you want to log in locally, then you log in with default, and in my case, I haven't changed the credentials, so admin. So I'm going to sign in, and we'll pick up once I'm fully logged in. Okay, now I have logged in. Classic Horizon landing page. So technically, I can see I have a quota defined. So basically, now I have my quota is actually established there. A quota can be changed in admin for those who are more familiar with Horizon, or you can actually do it with the CLI. Not a problem. So this is our landing page. So basically our deployment works from A to Z. We're logged in and it works. In terms of plugins that were installed, we can see that my firewall and VPN are there. If I go there, basically I will get just the list of firewall. Right now there's nothing, so everything is there, but I can define all the firewalls are there, the policy and the rules are there. Same thing goes for VPN. If I would to install the load balancer as a service, it will end up in network also, and it's actually gonna show up here, giving us the load balancer possibility. When you have to create your pool, you have to create a VIP and then assign everything. So this is where everything would be. Data processing here is the Sahara part. So this is where the big data cluster and everything shows up. So this is where you need to actually do an image registry if you want to add the image to perform the OSTF test. So you need to register an image, and to do so, we'll actually do it right now. Okay, so I skipped back to the, I went back to images to link back to the Sahara image registration. Basically what you need to do is you go in, basically you upload an image in Glance. I went to add system images, create an image, call it Sahara test. The image location, this one is based on, it's saharafiles.mirantis.com. It's for MOS 7, which is the release I'm doing this demo on. And so now you have the kilo base file is there. That's something that you can actually, again, like I said, you can find it online. But here's the URL. So sahara-files.mirantis.com/mos7, so mos70, and the qcow2 file is there. So I just upload it. Once it's actually there, I'll be able to register an image in Sahara. Okay, I've also at the same time loaded up the Murano test image. Similar process. URL is somehow similar. Murano-files.mirantis.com/ and now it's the QCow image, QCow2 image that's gonna be there. So those two are loading, and next step is gonna be actually register them. So you have all the steps to get a full green check environment when it comes to application or well, application catalog with Murano, or a big data cluster with Sahara. Okay, so while the image are loading in the in Glance, wanted to circle back on the Murano app part to make sure that the OSTF infuel post deployment is all in green. What you can do, well, first you load up those two images if you're using Sahara and Murano. If you do, if you are, last step for the Murano part is actually create, have one of the application load up, so you can use it. So you go in the Murano tab, you go in Manage and Package Definition. We want to import a package from the official site that's been defined in the environment. So it's not a file; it's a URL, and the URL you can actually go to the apps.openstack.org, and you can see all the application there. And if you go on an app, you'll get the package name, and that way you can, just load it up. So yeah, in our case, it's a repository, it's not a URL. So everything is in storage.apps@openstack.org. In our case, the package is WordPress. So we want WordPress. WordPress, like I said, will install, Apache with PHP, and will install also a MySQL database, and lastly, well, the app itself with PHP. So WordPress, I wanted public or not. Public will mean that everybody can use it who have access to this tenant. We want that, so just creating it. Basic step. You can see on the right that all the packages that are linked, like WordPress, MySQL, Apache. There's also Zabbix, a Zabbix server and Zabbix agents, so that way you can monitor everything. So you can actually, after that, put it in a, you can actually tag it as a, what type of application they are. Or in our case, you can say it's an application server with a database, and there's also a web section. So let's do that. Just so it helps sorting out application when you put those in. Once the package is loaded, now we know the package definition is there. So all the packages are there. You can see the author. In our case, it's Mirantis. Mirantis actually started the Murano project before it was accepted under the OpenStack core services. So now it's being pushed back to community, so everybody can actually use it. If I go now to application catalog and I see the environments that I have right now, I only have the OSTF test for Murano, and that's from a previous test. Actually, you can see delete failure from an old environment. So what we actually wanted to show is the application part, and now you can see everything that was installed just by adding that packages, that WordPress package. So it gave me WordPress, it gave me MySQL, Apache, Zabbix, and Zabbix agent and server. So you can actually ask WordPress to click on WordPress and say quick deploy. If you want to add it to your existing environment, not a problem. So from there, it would be a full Murano demo. The idea was to get you up and running up to Horizon and having a full green check on the OSTF part. So in our case, the Murano part will stop here, but loaded up the glance image and putting the application, the WordPress application, were the most important part. The last part actually is to actually register an image as a Murano agent. It's going to be Murano test, and we'll do that right after. Okay, so the last thing in regards to Murano is to actually register, well, mark an image. Right now I've already installed the WordPress package, so it already gives me an image. But to make sure it's a proper Murano agent and OSTF doesn't complain, basically in the Murano part we go into manage. There's images there. We want to mark an image. So to mark an image, just go there, mark image, select the image. In our case it was the Murano one, so let's call it Murano test agent, so we know it's based on our testing, and it's a generic Linux environment. So we want to mark it, so it's gonna load up in marked images. And in terms of Murano, we're good. The next step is actually to register an image for Sahara, and that's going to be the last step before we can say that everything is there and the OSTF can perform properly and do all its tests that are needed to get a green check everywhere. Of course, if I were to do that again after, on my part, I would still have some red checks based on I didn't change the default password and I'm still not in HA, so it wouldn't register properly. But at least the Murano and Sahara part now would be going from red to green by doing those steps. So next step is the Sahara registration part. So what I need to do for the image, to register an image for Sahara, is I go in my project, I go in data processing. There's an image registry section. So once I'm in it, right now there's nothing. I can register an image. Same process as Murano. It's like which image. So Sahara test. So username is Ubuntu. Description, we can just put Sahara OSTF test image. Okay, and the next thing I need to do is define what type of plugin it is. So it's a vanilla one. Version is 2.6.0. So we add the tags there, and we just hit done. It's gonna register, and after that this image is ready and registered, and OSTF can actually use it to perform the test. So that basically concludes the from zero to fully working stack in regards to this multi-part demo based on Mirantis OpenStack. There will be another video that actually covers the plugin part, so basic installation, but also showing up the LMA plugin, which is a real important one, giving you operational visibility on your stack. So that's going to be an upcoming one. So with this, basically we went from downloading an ISO, installing fuel, setting up the NICs, and then from the fuel itself, creating a project, installing everything, configuring the plugins that needed to be configured, including the LMA part in this demo, and from Murano registration of images and Sahara, so you can have a all green OSTF test from the L checks in fuel itself. Right now this stack is fully usable for everything that was installed, so there was nothing to be done part of VPN and firewall. And now that we have a fully installed Murano app and at least one Sahara node, we can start using all the components of our fuel deployed OpenStack environment. Okay, so I wanted to actually show OSTF running as a last part of this multi-part video. So sanity check on the stack is actually, they actually ran and everything, you can see, like I mentioned earlier on, but actually now we have value and actually something, you know, that makes sense in terms of status instead of nothing. So we have duration and status, so everything that was requested actually works properly on our stack. When it comes to live migration, you know, creating a snapshot, creating a user and logging in Horizon, everything works perfectly. Now we're starting, that's the HA test, so of course, like I said, everything's failing except Pacemaker. Pacemaker actually is running on every node by itself, making sure services are running. In our case, there's only one running, so of course it works. Making sure Ceilometer gets proper metrics. In terms of Sahara itself, for the cluster, a problem with my demo is I'm lacking resources to actually you know, have it work properly, but it can actually find a registered image, which we did you know, early on. So having enough resources, actually I would have a green check here. So right now it's still running. Get Ceilometer test. So right now it's testing some action on the stack itself, like create, update, delete. It's gonna try to do the WordPress part and launch a Sahara test cluster later on. So this is where we at. Also basic you know, cloud validation for disk outage and log rotation. Everything is there, and the last part is me not changing the default credential. So basically right now the you know, create, update, delete, and everything is running. You can see the process here. So that's the only batch of tests remaining. But I wanted to show you actually what a live OSTF would look like. So you have your green, you have your red, and you can see the you know, the status of a test running right now and the expected ETA. If it's under those values, then you know, you're good. Well, lower or equal. Beauty of it is that every section or every test has its own check mark. So in the end, everything that was red that you want to fix, you just have to click on those and just, you know, do, you know, run test, and it's going to test all those. So everything that was already green, you don't have to redo. So it makes the OSTF part a lot quicker.